Right over there where that tower is, probably right in there is where I had my childhood sighting of a Bigfoot when I was about 6 years old. Here in the city of Knoxville. This is the city of Knoxville, not the Smoky Mountains. Just to give you an idea of this place. The ridge and valley topography and what it looks like. To the north side of the ridge is the community of Powell, where I probably had about 20 sightings of Bigfoot, and quite a lot of other strange things. But let's just go for a little short hike. What do you say? I just bear climb my way up the back of this ridge, but you can see there's a trail that runs all the way down the top of this here. Seen a number of ground stick signs on the way up, actually. Quite a few trail markers, basically, just to circumnavigate this ridge. Once you get up here, you can pretty much follow the ridge line, and I'd say this is a pretty well worn path that something comes down through here with a gentle ease and a subtlety. Stuff you can't make up, really, you know. I mean, you could, but why would you? You know, perfectly good saplings just snapped into. Ground stick signs I'll look for. Just typical kinds of things that might actually be rooted and be natural, but they use that as a sign as well. So sometimes it can be difficult to tell without other further supporting evidence. There's a snapped sapling and all that mess of stuff there with possible ground stick right there. See if I can zoom in, get it for you. Yeah, right there looks like one to me. That'd be indicating the path to this other trail on this other side right through here. In case they get off trail or look to the left or right for little trail sign markers, just kind of like telling you turn right here, or Google Maps, you know, right turn here. Something goes right through here. Look at this. Right down off this way, right down through here. I think I'm gonna follow it. I don't know what all is up here. I've never been here before, never explored this, but look at this path through here. I'm sure this is all private property, so I'm not really sure who owns it. There were some property markers on up, so I don't want to get over on that other boundary side because somebody definitely owns that and they've got it marked. So I didn't see any keep out or no trespassing notices or anything like that, so I'm just partly being sketchy today. But there's a lower path right down there. I didn't even see that lower trail. That's a significant little path there. Wonder if I can get down there on it. It's like here's an upper path and there's a lower path. Interesting. Kind of cool. Honestly, I mean, when you're out here doing this kind of field research, and I'm not even researching, I'm just kind of curious about this place. I've never checked it out. I've wanted to because there's been sightings that ran along this length of ridge over on the other side. So it just goes to theory that if they're over there, they're over here, over here, over there, over everywhere. Bigfoot is in your garbage can. He's eating the cat food. He's over there singing some kind of lullaby, tapping on somebody's window. I mean, come on, people. How naive do you have to be to not realize it? I mean, recently, L.A. Marzulli was talking about Scott Carpenter having the Bigfoot show back up at his house, and they were, I don't know what that thing was, but they were beating on the side of his house. Yeah, this is kind of a neat spot. Look at that tree here. This is cool. This is where I went up the The other side of the trail. Right there's probably worth some money right there. Just that knot right there, that wood knot. All kinds of decorative designs probably inside of it. It's interesting how nature can take something that is an injury and a wound and heal from it, and it be more beautiful after the fact. After the scars have healed and the wounds have sealed, it's like, is that a grunt stick? Is it? Is it? Is it? Wow. Certainly it is. Check that out. I can see where it's been shoved down into the ground there. Can you see it? Camel ground stick sign sticking up. Look at that. Broken off. Rotten wood. There's the other piece of it way over there. So that limb there broke and the end of it went over there. Piece of it over here probably. Yeah, that makes sense, doesn't it? Just deadfall. It's all natural anyway, right? Wow, I actually am recording this time. You know how many times I think I hit the record button and talk for a mile long and run out of breath, and then, oh, I didn't get none of that on tape. Dadgummit. Must not have been meant to be revealed or talked about. But yeah, give you some idea. My Jeep was parked way down there somewhere. I hope it's still there. Golly. Golly. Yeah, there it is. There's the old Jeeper. Look at that. Right down in there. So you can see, once you get up on this ridge, it's like a Bigfoot superhighway. They don't call them ridge runners for no reason. When I was in high school, they always joked about seeing another ridge runner. I didn't know what they was talking about, these kids that lived back in the other side of Powell, back in an area called High School. Some caves back in there and some Bigfoot. One boy said he seen one jump in front of the train, and it was as tall as the train light because it blocked the light when it jumped in front of it, and it looked like it had been in a fire and all the hair was burned off of it. It looked like one of those posters where you go to the doctor's office and the poster is the guy with the muscle skeletal system and he's all red, the red man poster where he's holding his hand up, arm up over his head. He said that's the way that Bigfoot looked. It looked like he burned all the hair off of him. His body was just red colored. Yeah, I could probably imagine seeing that. What you can't hardly imagine is what happened afterwards. Those kids had rocks thrown at them. They started throwing rocks first because they thought somebody was messing with them on the tracks. So they start throwing rocks. When next thing you know, a rock even bigger comes zooming back by them. And one boy's uncle actually did get hit with a rock on a four-wheeler. And anyway, to make a long story short, they had armed guards on the train, federal agents that had rifles that jumped off the train tracks, that had seen this thing jump in front of the train as well as these kids, and they were escorted down the track from the train back to where they could get off the tracks there. There wasn't really a place for them to go through this narrow, almost like a slot through there. But yeah, this is kind of cool. I'll throw in some clips, pictures, video, you know, typical stuff, typical Crazy Dave. Go out in the woods and don't find nothing, looking for Bigfoot and don't see a thing, but the signs are everywhere if you know what to look for. I mean, so this big tree, it just falls and takes that tree with it, but then this tree that's over well a ways away from it just gets bent over and shoved up underneath that, and the end's even broken off for it to even be underneath there. I mean, look at that. It's just crazy stuff, you know? I mean, yeah, somebody came up here and they hoaxed this. They just pinned that tree in under that branch just perfectly. This arch from way over there, from that tree that fell way over here, from here to way over to there. All this just fell this direction and it trapped this big arch right here. Yeah. Yeah, I'll buy that for $1. If you're giving me $1, if that's what you're telling me. If that's what you're believing, if that's what you're sincere in, I mean, nature does some strange things. I've seen all kinds of crazy things, you know, tornadoes and other stuff, phenomena. I mean, anything's possible, I guess. Even Bigfoot's possible, but can't rule it out just because you see another stick stuck in the ground. It might actually be rooted. I think it is, because it's got that little thorn. If not, it's stuck way down the ground. It's just funny looking, sticking up there. You gotta check sometimes to see. Sometimes you have to check yourself to make sure what you're seeing is real. I mean, there's countless times been out in the woods and places where there's dogmen and dogmen sign, walk all over it and think it's all Bigfoot. Everything's Bigfoot. Not everything is Bigfoot. Some of it's dogman. Not everything in the woods is natural. Not everything's deadfall. I mean, there's some stuff that, you know, you can rule out. Other things, like daggum down there in that thicket, you ain't getting through all that unless you're a Bigfoot. That path that goes down through there, that's what I originally came up here to check out and see, but I've seen enough already to know that this is the path I need to go. This is where they go. Why not follow the Bigfoot? Why not follow the deer? Why not follow the game trail and watch me slide down this hill? Probably slip and slide. Turn it into a theme park. How about that? A joyride. Whee! Down you go. One giant step for man, one giant leap for mankind. Ah, there goes Dave. Straight down off the bottom. Look, there's the Jeep down there. Way on down. Whee! Looks like 100 miles from here. It's not that far for a Bigfoot to walk when they got a 5-foot stride between each step, as I just put my hand on probably poison something or another. Poison oak, sumac, ivy, 100 things out here. It's like everything in the woods is intent on eating you or killing you or, you know, starving you. Got 100 things to contend with. Someone's actually marked this tree here with an arrow. Isn't that interesting? Arrow. Path through here. How about that? Someone's been down through here, haven't they? Marking trails. But you reckon someone's spray painting the trails? They're not going to know to use a ground stick sign to mark it, are they? I mean, you wouldn't think so, because right down here at the bottom is where I first saw the first indication that, hey, go this way, dummy. This is the path to take. Path of least resistance. They go up through there too. That might be that lower trail where it comes down. But yeah, I mean, I just got started hiking. Not even 2 minutes into the hike. Bam, ground stick. Bam, ground stick. It's like, okay, people, y'all want to say everything's deadfall and it's all natural? Yeah. I guess I could see that being natural. It's kind of interesting that when they're sticking up. 15% power. Man, battery went dead. Went low quick. Well, we made it back to the bottom. Yippee! There's the old Jeeper. Kind of turned out to be a nice day after all. There's that other ground stick right there. That one was blatant. And that one was so obvious. When I came upon that, I saw how it stuck in the ground. Then that other one up there, there's actually 2 ground sticks. One big one and one little one, which I've encountered those quite often. And first thing I seen was this tree limb drug out here in this path. First little inkling. And then on up, there's some more blockage that they put out. It seems that it's been put there purposely. Put there. Yeah, people might park at this gate and walk up or party or do other nefarious things that I'm not interested in finding out what people do. I just want to run down, hunt the Bigfoot. Yippee! Well, you guys take care. There's some prints of potentially red wolf there here. Actually, guy at work, of course. Maybe I can show you some pictures of that. Just over over that way. Caught him at his house here. So they're here. It might be a coyote, might be a red wolf. It's hard for me to tell. I'm not an expert at anything, certainly not Bigfoot. I mean, I wouldn't consider myself to be an expert on them. I don't think there's enough a person could know in a lifetime. I think that's why Scott Carpenter, he knows now everything that there is to know about him. Everything that there was ever to be discovered, he knows. He knows from beyond, from eternity, and the signs that have shown forth to prove such existence. So, God bless you all. Look forward to seeing you on the next Bigfoot adventure. Crazy Dave signing out. Bye-bye. Love y'all. Well, hey guys, back at it again. Wouldn't you know it, still here in the city. Another childhood sighting of a Bigfoot that looked real black and shadowy looking. I was here by this spring when I was probably about 10 or 11. I was real young, and there was a young little girl here, and she was telling me there's a monster up here. I mean, you can see back in here. That goes way back up under the ground there where the spring comes out, and it was probably just down here getting a drink of water. But it was right up above these piles, or these big boulders, these big slab rocks. He went from right here around that rock right up there, right above that, and went over to this side, and then I lost sight of him because it was a lot more grown up then. Right up there towards where that house is now, at the top of that hill. And this is right here in one of the city parks right here. Actually in the city of Knoxville. Right here. Nice little spring. Water coming directly right out of the ground right in there. As I about leaned over and fell right in head first. That'd been fun to make a YouTube moment of, wouldn't it? You couldn't make that up, can you? The things I do for you guys. Out here filming a video. Yeah. City Park. This right here, this has been cleared off, of course, but this was all woods up through here. A lot of interesting looking stones and rubble, and almost has a mound shape to it. Look at that squirrel. He's playing peekaboo. He's got this other one chasing him. Right up there. Can't really see them until they move. I can't even see the sucker. Yeah, these squirrels are used to people out here in this park. Growing up, they come running right up to you pretty much. Smile, you're on the camera. Those are them city squirrels. Yeah. How about that, guys? I'm about wore out after that last little video I made. A little hike. I went, did a little gun shopping, ran around, ran into my supervisor. Talked to him a little bit from work, and figured I'd stop here for some reason. I mean, it's just like, just right down the road. Why not, you know? Why not share with you all an actual sighting location of a Bigfoot that I had. Anyway, that little girl, get back to the story. The whole thing about it being a monster, this little girl told me, says, there's a monster up there. Well, I was told by my parents that Bigfoot didn't exist, that there's no such thing as boogeymen, that I didn't have to be scared of anything under the bed. And of course, as a child growing up, I didn't believe in monsters or none of that silliness stuff. You know, I watched Scooby-Doo and scary cartoons and Bugs Bunny and everything else, Looney Tunes, and well, they probably think I was just as crazy as anything, talking about seeing a monster or Bigfoot. Well, I told that little girl, there ain't no such thing as monsters, and she put her hands on her hips and went just all frustrated. She turned around and walked off. This little blonde-headed girl. I turned back around and looked over my shoulder like this, right up above there, and I was standing right at the opening of that spring up inside there, actually, and right around those rocks right there. I don't know if I'm pointing to it, if you can see it, but like right up and around, over through there, and right up that embankment, right up there, through there. Yep, that's exactly what I saw. Just this black silhouette, basically, a black figure. And boy, when I saw that, I was speechless. I couldn't yell at the girl who was then walking some distance away from me with her back turned to it. She didn't see it again, but she had seen it. She had seen it and tried to tell me that there's a Bigfoot there, and here I am thinking, well, you know, it's just some playful imagination of this time another child. You know, once it was this child, me, and then this time it's another kid is seeing them here in the city. So, city Bigfoot. Yeah. Oh, careful. You did. You found a big one. Yeah. Got a balloon too.
I stole my papa's hat.
You stole what? Your pawpaw's hat? Yeah. Well, looks like they're having a birthday party here. Yeah. Birthday party? Yeah.
His birthday party.
His birthday. That's why he stole his pawpaw's hat. And kids see that I stole my pawpaw's hat. Oh man, this park's been here since I was a little kid, man. I used to come here and play in this playground and run all around and have tons of fun, and saw Bigfoot. Imagine that. You can't make this stuff up. You know, the history of these sightings, it's been suppressed and covered up over the years in the city of Knoxville. I'm sure there's city officials that know about it, including our former county mayor. I guarantee you Tim Burchant heard of all the Bigfoot reports and sightings here, since he had a Bigfoot on his desk, a picture of the Patterson-Gimlin film Bigfoot, if you all know who Tim Burchant is. If not, you need to do your Google search and do your homework on him. He's a pretty awesome dude from here in Tennessee, from right here in the great state here of Tennessee, in our own hometown here in the city of Knoxville. I like him quite a bit. Every time I ever saw the man, he always nodded his head to me. Every time I was in the city county building, he'd always say hello and always speak to me. He's almost like a friend of long lost acquaintance, almost, you know, like you see somebody and know to recognize them. All right. Check that out. It's like blah blah black sheep flying over. Look at that. How cool is that? Wow. I'm glad I got that on video. Whee! I'm an airplane nut too. If I can get out here and dodge this traffic now, y'all have a good one, and we'll talk to you on the next video. See ya. Bye bye. Yippee! west where Dennis Martin lived, where he grew up. Those of you that know Dennis Martin's story from the missing 411 cases, disappeared up on one of the balds. I think it was Gregory's Bald there in the Smoky Mountains, just right inside of Cade's Cove there, about halfway through the middle of the cove. But thought I'd share and show you where some of these sightings have occurred. That's Tim Burchin's former neighborhood where he lived. So if there's any other questions or concern or wonder why there'd be so many sightings in this area, well, I mean, just take a look at the ridges here. There's ridges everywhere. The hills have ridges in them. Got more ridges than ruffles. Potato chips. No, I'm joking. I'm being silly. But yeah, seriously, Dennis Martin, he probably lived about 5 miles from where I do. Off the same highway even. So I thought I'd do a quick share and add another little extension to the piece of the puzzle. Why, if the Bigfoot took Dennis, then why would there be so many Bigfoot around where he lived that could have just as well have taken him, if indeed they took him, as it was reported, a disheveled man. You had a lot of feral people in the 60s in the park that the park rangers had trouble with. A lot of poachers, a lot of illegal activity was going on. People who had been displaced from their farms and lands and property there. So I guess the national park was started probably around the turn of the century. I don't know if it's 1902 or in the 1930s. I don't remember when the Smokies was actually created as a park, but you can definitely, probably get a strike for the music in the background. I didn't think about that. Copyright infringement. Good gosh. Can't make a video talking about nothing nowadays. Anyway, I just thought I'd do a quick video share and share with you guys that little tidbit of information about the numbers of Bigfoot seen around this area. Quite a few over the years, actually. I just come across what was called the flats there, and there used to be all kinds of peach orchards through there, and there's actually some peach trees still there, I found out yesterday, up in the woods. And would it be a surprise that in the back of Tim Burchin's neighborhood there's a peach orchard? Could that be a possible reason why the Bigfoot would be coming through a subdivision at night, and people will be seeing reports and calling in sightings of them? I mean, that's something I've theorized. And of course, with these ridges being a natural highway, I told Janice right up here is where the Bigfoot crossed the highway, where there's all this kudzu, just like right back there I was going to show you. But Jan, she saw her biggest dogman ever right up here at this old airplane gas station, really. So it's like one of them roadside poster card travel stops between Knoxville and Clinton that was a big landmark in this area. People would comment about the airplane gas station. Speaking of airplanes, another fascination of mine, really. Like those 4 airplanes flying over. I couldn't tell what they were, but people stopped at a green light. Oh boy, I'm getting real tired too. Gonna have to get off here and pay attention to my driving. Well, you guys take care. I was going to show you where this dogman sighting of Janice's occurred, and I saw some batwing looking dude that Janice called the, what did she call that thing? Mothman. Yeah, I seen Mothman, dude. Ran right through here. Yeah, I seen the Mothman right there in that parking lot of the gas station. And then right up here is the old airplane gas station. There's the old airplane gas station. Yay! isn't that cool? And so that's basically that car lot beside that airplane gas station's where Jan had her sighting at, and Holly, her daughter, with her, saw the biggest dog man. I mean, I'd have to ask Jan again the size and color and description of it, but they're here. I mean, it wouldn't be the first time or the last, probably. It makes me question some of the sightings I attributed to Bigfoot, even where I'd say I shine. But right down here in this grassy patch is where a Bigfoot was standing in the middle of the highway one night, right there, holding a plywood board in front of him, like, oh, you won't see me if I hold this piece of plywood here, if I cloak and turn invisible. But the plywood board was still visible. It didn't turn invisible. It was still clearly seen, like a board just sitting there. I began to notice other places along the highway in here that the board was. But I told Jan, right back there is where they cross the highway, where Kudzu is, at that airplane gas station. Well, probably about 100 yards from there, where she had her sighting. I mean, I was like almost spot on. To have her see a dog man on one side of it, and then I seen the Bigfoot standing there on the other side of it, holding a sheet of plywood up in front of him, a square sheet of plywood. Like that's not obvious, you know, Bigfoot, a pair of hairy legs, holding a piece of plywood. I mean, that's not obvious at all. Like who would dare think that to see a Bigfoot? Right here at this grocery store too. This is where I tracked large cat tracks right behind that auto parts store. You can see there's woods and creeks and fish and wildlife and everything else right here. I mean, not too far from the city, right outside the city limits. It's in the county of Knox County. So, well, God bless you guys, and you all take care, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye. I don't know why I said Gregory's Bald. I was thinking Gregory's Bald that Dennis disappeared up on. It's actually Spence Field that he disappeared at. So I wanted to make a correction to it after I looked it back up to make sure, because I was like, something don't sound right about that. I don't know why I said Gregory's Bald for, so I looked it up too, and come to find out it's a 24-mile pasture on top of the mountain. It'd probably been a pasture too, from the time of the Native Americans and early settlers and frontiersmen. They'd probably go up, take the cattle up there and herd them up there on top of this mountain and pasture them. 24-mile long pasture on top of a mountain. So Spence Field, where Dennis Martin disappeared at, it's, I think the map said it was 10 miles from Gregory's Bald. And so it runs along that 24-mile long stretch of pasture on top of a mountain. The part that's open or accessible now, it said, runs along the Appalachian Trail. So it gives you some idea of where it's at. It's probably like right up there between Tennessee and North Carolina, even right there along the border region of the Appalachian Trail. So I think I went up there once when I was a kid. Might have been Gregory's Bald we hiked up to, part of that Spence Field up there. I can't remember if it was actually Spence Field or Gregory's Bald, but seems like that's another story to tell about a Bigfoot sighting I had. A little bit older. I was probably about 13 or so. I was in Royal Rangers, Trailblazers, and we had a kid that got lost. And this kid, we found out and started searching for him there at one of the overnight backpacking shelters. And so we were running around playing army, you know, hide and seek in the woods. There was like a thick pine thicket there, pine grove of trees, and They looked just like Christmas trees. You know, there was a new growth forest on top of this mountaintop. And on the backside of the mountain, it sloped and went back down the backside, you know, away from us. And I went down this path, and there was two older boys with the kid that was missing. And this missing boy, I think he was one of the Christensen kids. They had like 10 children in this family, and they were all boys. Or maybe more than that, it might have been 12 boys. They had a lot of boys, and they ranged in ages, you know, from very young all the way up to my age back then. And I think it was one of the younger boys. It might not have been one of the Christensens, but it's possible because they had so many kids, you know. But it was one of the younger boys. He disappeared up there, playing hide and seek, playing army, running around through the woods. And when the two older boys, when we started to search for him, were walking back up this path on the back side of that mountain, they had this kid in the middle between them on each side of him with their arms around his back. And the kid just looked like distraught, like he was in tears. He was nonverbal, communicating or whatever. Didn't say anything. Probably in a state of shock as well. And the first thing I said, I was like, what's wrong with him? You know, like, seriously, like, what's wrong with this kid? What happened? What's wrong with him? And it's like, okay. They said, oh, he's fine. Don't worry about it. You know, just kind of brushed it off. And I thought, he don't look fine to me. You know, like this kid was like shell shocked, like 1,000-yard stare, like just sobbing, had been sobbing. He wasn't, when I seen him, he didn't look like he was out of his mind or anything. He looked like he'd done lost his mind. He just looked like he was just like a robot, just like blank face, just like he'd been crying and just was walking back like he was just completely zoned out, you know. And so I turned and watched him, followed him up the hill back to the counselors and the older men that were there leading this youth hike from our church group, from Royal Rangers. It's kind of like the Boy Scouts, really, but it was affiliated with the Assemblies of God Church. But we were a non-denominational church and had Outpost 90 here in Knoxville. I was a trailblazer then, so I was one of the older kids on this hike. And right on the other side of this pine tree from me, I saw movement. And I ducked down, looked up underneath the branches along the bottom of the tree, and I saw these big brown hairy covered feet walking by me. The only thing I could think of is the book of Grendel, this cartoon with the great big feet. And I just thought, well, it's one of these bears, you know, like the circus bears that walk upright. Because I could see partial body movement going through the trees. That's what caught my eye initially. When I looked under it, it's almost like you look under the door of a stall to see if someone's in there. You know, it's like, oh, crap, you know, I don't want to open the door. Someone's on the other side. I don't know what this is here, but I was checking it out. I looked up underneath there, and I seen those feet walking by, and it was just like it had turned after watching that kid to make sure he made it back safe. That Bigfoot rescued that lost kid and brought him back up there. I wholeheartedly, 100% believe it. Like, that kid was, of course, terrified by what he had seen. But I don't think there was no malice. There was no ill will. There was no, that Bigfoot returned that kid and was there watching in the distance to make sure he made it back safe. Incredible. You know, just absolutely incredible. I actually got to to have another sighting. I was still yet skeptical. It took me many, many years to even remember that sighting. I'd suppressed it and buried it, locked away, deeply forgotten, thinking it's just a circus bear. You know, circus bear on a tightrope riding a tricycle, without a net. Little did I know we don't have those kind of brown bears in Tennessee. We have black bears. We have some that are called cinnamon bears that have sort of a blackish to reddish color in them. Cat over across the street has that sort of a black color, but it's also got some red in it. Anyway, I'm here at the house. Thought I'd give a quick update and let you guys know that it was Spence Field that Dennis Martin disappeared in. And I think it was like 69, it said, which was later than what I was thinking. I was thinking it was a little earlier than that. So he would have been older than what I am now. I'm sure his father's passed on and finally been reunited with his son. I think what it's important for people to realize, in spite of the sightings of Bigfoot, the numerous sightings and encounters, is if they wanted to do humans harm, they would have done it, and you would have heard of it, and they do. Don't worry about that. There's plenty of reports and plenty of accounts. But I'm just saying, if they wanted to, there'd be a lot more people talking about the who, the how, the what, the where, the when. Something upwards of 9 feet tall that could just rip your head off. You wouldn't stand a chance against something like that. Even the 8-foot one that I saw when I had a pistol on my side, I grabbed the pistol and I thought, what's that going to do to stop a rock if he throws a rock at you at 200 miles an hour? A major league fastball pitcher can throw a fastball at 100 miles an hour. Good gosh. What do you think one of them suckers, 8 foot tall, almost twice as big, could throw a rock at you? Probably throw that rock faster than that 9mm could do anything. I mean, I just said, you've seen all you need to see. And I just bugged out, went back into the deepest, thickest part of the rhododendron, the laurel there, and said a quick prayer to Jesus. I was just like, Lord, hide me from his presence. Make me invisible to his sight. And the Lord did. I felt like I was in the hiding place that David wrote about when he faced his giants, and the secret place, this hiding place that's in the Lord, this fortress and my deliverer, this high tower. Even out of the book of Psalms, it talks about, I almost laughed and mine spoke to him, and Tom says, you ain't the only one that can turn invisible, big boy. And then I thought, I hope I don't run into that white one. I hope I see him first. Because there was more than just the one sighting I had there. Ended up having 4 different individual sightings there. Well, probably should say 5, but I caught one on camera that I didn't know I'd caught till later. Another big black male looking one that cracked half a nut and ate half and left half for me there, making owl calls. It's like you got 2 clans. You got the lowland clan, coyotes, and the upward clan, mountain clan of the owls. Yeah. And in the middle of them, you got a rooster that's going cook, 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 in the middle of a pack of wild coyotes. It's like, that's one mean, bad rooster. Here comes a rooster. Yeah, you better look out. You see that rooster coming running with a pack of wild coyotes. No doubt, man, no doubt. You know, for every sighting, there's probably been 100 encounters. If you count every ground stick an encounter, or every teepee I found, or every, you know, come across every turd pile. And I've found biologic evidence of them. You know, I've found sperm. I found other evidence. I mean, don't want to be too graphic, but they still had the bubbles in it where it was fresh. So, you know, yeah, don't want to stick around there very long when you're smelling the sex pheromones in the air. It's like, and to be in a female's urine with the footprints in that. That's how I tracked up on him when he was snoring there. You could feel the breathing vibrations in my chest. I could feel it, man. It was like, you could feel that like rumbling in your chest from this 12-foot tall red-haired male I'd seen 6 months earlier crossing the road up there in Kentucky. So yeah, I'd say there's probably been 100 encounters to every sighting. I probably had 50 sightings now. It's hard to say truly how many were Bigfoot if they're not the same as some of these shadow figures that I've seen as well. If they're not one and of the same, I don't know that they are, but there seems to be a connection from my childhood with them anyway. Seeing shadows in the hallways, having experiences, waking up in the middle of a dream, laying flat on a cold table, metal table, stainless steel cold table, and freezing, just feeling real cold at night, and wake up having the bloody nosebleeds out of both nostrils. And it was almost nightly sightings that stuff was going on. I call it the projects where we lived, and we truly were the projects. I believe there's some kind of hybridization program. Nobody really cared about the poor people that were being subjected to what was going on. That mid-70s government vaccine that stuttered me and retarded me, that slowed my development, mental development, learning disability, learning how to talk again, growing up left-handed, being switched to right hand, and having problems being dyslexic till 97 when I got prayed over it and delivered from dyslexia. Now I'm just like a normal person, really. Occasionally I'll slip up and see things backwards or get things backwards, but even normal people do that, really. There might be some kind of a connection to the left-handedness, though. I think being switched to right hand, knowing what little I know about left-handed attributes in people, I don't claim to be any special or better than anybody else, really. It's just me. Heck, I live here in a trailer park, so I mean, I pump gas for a living, and I live at home with my parents. So there you go. Just a gas pumper that lives at home. I'd live in the basement if I had one, I guess. Honestly, I mean, now it's just me. Mom, from her deathbed, she talked about seeing the visitations of the shadow people inside the house, the poor minister. She was a chaplain that dealt with 30 years of ministry and rejection, being a woman and being in the ministry here in the Bible Belt. She was her last day as a chaplain. She retired after she came hospice to see Mom. She's on her deathbed just about a week before my mother passed away, and she said that you just don't know. You just don't know. I've been doing this for 30 years. You don't know how many times people have told me this, on their deathbed, told me about seeing these things. And she said, I just never believed it until now. She started weeping. This woman started crying after she had her initial freak out over it. She said, what? There's shadow people in this house? I mean, she's like looking for the exit door, exit sign, like, where do you get out of this place? Oh my gosh. And Mom's like, no, it's nothing like that. It's just that they come and keep watch over me while I sleep at night. And there's this one that comes to visit, and he stands over me with his arms folded across his chest and looks down upon me while I sleep at night. I said to that chaplain, I said, now what Mom's telling you? She's telling you the truth. I know she's on medication. I know she's probably having some hallucinations right now because she's so close to passing on and being with the Lord. But what she's telling you right now, she's telling you the truth, because I've seen it too. I've seen them my whole life. I've seen them not to the extent that Mom was aware of them and being visited, that she was aware. Because there's so many times I'd come home and Mom goes, was that you in the house just 30 minutes ago before you came home? No, Mom. No, that wasn't me. Well, I swear I heard somebody. You better look in there. You better make sure somebody didn't break in. And I mean, my mom, golly, bless her. So I love my mom dearly. And she's the one that convinced me that Bigfoot wasn't real. There on her deathbed, I think I even told her of the Dogman sighting or something. I mean, more than just Bigfoot, other cryptids and canines and cat people that were related to Ruth in the Bible, the Moabites, the lion-like men of Moab even. There's all these variations of even Bigfoot. I've seen them with those pugwy type nose and faces, muzzles, like almost like a hyena, I guess, or a bear, like a prehistoric flat-nosed bear with the big lion's mane around his head. Stuff like that, you can't really make. I mean, you could. I guess you could have a really vivid imagination, but I mean, I'm not making none of this up. And then the other manifestations too that accompany them, not just like people talk about seeing orbs. I'm talking about seeing a black cat cross your path, only it's half of a cat, like the back half of a cat. You know how a cat will brush its tail, fluff its tail up against something, as it goes under the chair. It literally fluffed its tail. And I thought, there's a cat in the house. But then you look and it's only half of a cat. It's like, what's going on? Cats don't cloak that I knew about. Spiders maybe, but cats? I mean, I don't know, man. Never heard of a cloaking spider before till you see it, and it's like, where'd that thing go? Did I just see a spider cloak? Yeah, they're called Tennessee cloaking spiders. Didn't you know that? No. Never heard of such a thing before. Yeah, it's because they blend in so well with their surroundings and background. They're able to just disappear on you. A spider that can just disappear. Cloaking spider. There's probably reasons why they come up with definitions for such things as invisibility. If it wasn't real or if it wasn't true, then why would we invent a definition to support your imagination? Why would you go through such trouble to create a fabrication or a story or to make any of this up? Like, why would you have a need to? It's not like you have the most popular YouTube channel or reach thousands of people or to even monetize. Like, you live in a trailer park. You know, you work for a living. You've got nice things that you've learned to appreciate. Going without anything, living homeless on the streets, picking up aluminum cans just to survive, just to buy a loaf of bread. But the reality of the existence was better than that from which you came. You know, to escape out from underneath those projects and all that hybridization, experimentation. They probably had a lot to do with that early childhood. And I don't know if I've had implants or not. I pulled a piece of metal out of my knee one time that never hurt. Never even felt it. It was like a splinter of copper. It's like, I wonder if this is an alien artifact to some kind of implant or something crazy. I thought it's probably from all them childhood bike wrecks where I was pretending to be Evel Knievel and jumping ramps, and we didn't wear helmets back then. Wasn't no such thing as wearing a helmet. We made fun of you if you had a sissy bar or a handle on the back of the bicycle or had one of them goofy flags. We called you a retard. Special ed, you know, short bus, window licker. I mean, good gosh. You wouldn't want to be, you know, holding the football when they played Smear the Queer. I mean, golly. We had a rough childhood growing up. We'd make swords out of pallets and sticks with nails in it and fight each other. I mean, that was just fun. We'd stay out until the streetlights come on. That would tell us it's time to go home, time to take a bath, eat supper. I mean, we were regimented as children growing up, watching the programs on TV. We were the projects, and the TV was the programming, the mind control and manipulation. We'd watch shows like A-Team and Dukes of Hazzard, and we'd go out and pretend to be Dukes of Hazzard or A-Team, or, you know, run around in the trailer park dressed up like a ninja, thinking there's ninjas running around in the woods here. I mean, you watch G.I. Joe cartoons, and they got ninjas, so it's just like a part of that childhood growing up into an adult. You just base it off of everything around you and your environment and what you see, and sort of molds you and shapes you. And, you know, people have thought I was a member of Delta Force or whatnot, and, you know, never was in the military, but like the military, had dreams of the military, had some design input to military weapons and secret programs. But perhaps that's got something to do with that physical ability, because of whatever genetic modifications, or certainly that vaccine didn't help that the government gave, that swine flu vaccine back in the 70s, 74, 75 time frame. That was the worst stuff ever, man. I don't know what they did, but they really jacked a lot of people up. I guess that's why I didn't take the COVID vaccine. I was too frightened, too, from my childhood experiences, man. That's more frightening than the shadow people. At least the shadow people, you just learn to live with them. You learn to see them at night and realize what they are. And I never had a fear of seeing them or experiencing them, like out at that park when I saw the one run up around the boulders there, and the brown Bigfoot up on the ridge there. My childhood cloaked. I didn't know that they could do that, turn invisible. I thought it was my imagination. Imagine that. Just making stuff up in my mind just so I could stay out later and play out past the time of the streetlights coming on. Yeah. No, you can't make up that stuff, man. Bigfoot in the city. Definitely can't make up footprints on top of a U-Haul truck that's caved in from a bluff up above a cliff face, where one jumped off the ridge and landed on top of it, and then catapulted off the top of the roof over a barbed wire fence, you know, a fence with concertina wire across the top of it. And he's like, somebody's broke in this car lot and damaged this van, and then they got up there looking, thinking maybe a boulder fell off the cliff and damaged the top of it, one of these big U-Haul box vans. And no, they got up there, called the police. Police come out, take the report of vandalism, and two big giant footprints on top of that thing, like caved in around the footprints, like something big landed with big feet. And this one guy I work with, he's like, man, I knew a guy that could have done that. He's got big feet, ran around barefoot over there. Back then, he could have jumped off that ridge one night and landed on that thing. I was like, golly. But then to jump over that 10-foot high fence, or however tall it was, with barbed wire on top, yeah, you can't make up these stories. But I guarantee you that police officer took that report of vandalism, when he went back into the station, into his locker room, and was taking his tie and uniform off, because they used to wear ties back then. I guarantee he took his cap off and his tie off, and he didn't tell a word about what he saw to any of those other officers out there. I guarantee you he didn't mention it. No, sirree. And then right around that time, too, you had the big UFO stuff. E.T. phone home and Close Encounters of the Third Kind. It's really like a slow release. They're slowly releasing this out to the public. And here it's been 40 years later, and they've still not come out with what the government knows that's been going on all this time. What they've been doing to people. You know, this whole alien disclosure that they keep talking about. They're going to release this, release that. Yeah, when are they going to release the Kennedy assassination files? When are they going to release the Epstein files? When are they going to release anything that you're going to believe? You know, when are they going to release Charlie Kirk information? When are you ever going to hear the truth about anything, unless you see it for yourself, unless you go out and have a sighting or an encounter, and then you find other people just like you that's gone through the same childhood, only a decade later. You know, you were there in the 70s, they were there in the 80s, and they saw the same thing. They had the same nightmares of falling back into their body when they would be returned, like they had some kind of soul separation, where they plucked the soul, the subconsciousness, from the conscience right out of the body and was doing stuff. Mind manipulation or programming. I mean, genetic hybridization even. It wouldn't surprise me one bit, given the fact of the condition of the spirit of most of those people there. I always thought of them as being a rather guardian angel type, an archetype type, but not really the little cute cupids or cherubs or funny fuzzy bunnies or anything like that. No fat bellied cherub with the little harps and little bows and little strings and little arrows like on Valentine's. No, they're not angels, anything like that. Even my sighting at Norris that night, I thought it was some kind of supernatural being, some kind of angel, really. I mean, talking about revelations, you're sitting there having a low observant campsite in an area where you're not supposed to be, and a year later you go and report it to the police, and the police don't think you're crazy. They actually know to believe you because a police officer shot a Bigfoot there. Sad, really. Shot it just to shoot it, just because it was there. And he went back to see it with the thermal and spotted it and pulled his sidearm and shot it. And then told me and another person in uniform, sworn officer, to uphold the law and to tell the truth. Sad. You know, it talks about in the Bible, they'll speak of what's good as though it's evil, and what's evil as though it's good. It's interesting that all these people want to come out now and talk about Scott Carpenter's death and blame it on the Bigfoot, L.A. Marzulli. I think the Bigfoot killed Scott Carpenter. It's like, do you really? Have you been to where Scott last walked his last steps on the earth like others have done to experience what's there in those mountains? Do you know there's like governmental radiation experiments that were done there? Do you know that Scott could have come in contact with anything, let alone Bigfoot, other entities? I mean, if these things truly are demonic, like everybody wants to say, or that they're from the Nephilim, wouldn't that truly be frightening to encounter a demon-possessed Bigfoot? Don't you think that if a demon's a disembodied spirit of a giant, that a giant itself, having a soul or a spirit, could not be saved? Wouldn't you think the power of God would be limited for him not to be God if it wasn't so that they truly have free will the same as us? I mean, of course they do. And of course there's nothing that's impossible for God to do. Jesus walked on water. And that was just the simple things. That was just the elemental things. That was just like no big deal. He was just taking a shortcut. He's just taking a stroll across the Sea of Galilee. He's going to meet him on the other side. He's going to cook breakfast, have it ready for him. Hey, guys, Waffle House is open 24 hours. I cooked y'all some fish. Have some dinner. I caught it, too, while I was walking across the shore. Yeah. Something to think about. Think about the angels that came, and the disciples could not keep watch over them for 1 hour. And yet, Jesus rebuked them for it. It wasn't because they fell asleep. It's because they missed out on the glory that was to be revealed through their coming to be the sons of God that they are. The Bible doesn't talk about your past. It sees you through the eyes of Jesus, your future, through the finished work of the cross. That's why it was for such great glory that was set before Christ, that he suffered and endured all things, even unto death on a cross, and sin. Even think about that. The Son of God, perfect in every way, blameless, without sin. He did that for us. He did that for them. He came to seek that which was lost, that which the builders had rejected. Think about that. Think about these stone megaliths and those builders, who they were that built those foundation stones. I've been there. I've seen them. Colossus stones. Can't move them. No crane can pick them up. Yet they're stocked up like Lego blocks, you know? Like, who did that in the past? Primitive people. Before the Iron Age, even. Cyclopean masonry gets its name from the one-eyed giant called a cyclops. Cyclopean. Megaliths. Dolmens. All over the world. From Asia to Korean Peninsula to the Iberian Peninsula. I mean, everywhere. Even in North America. We have dolmens here, in the woods, in places, on top of mountains, on top of these ridges, even right here in the city. Dolmens. Stacked stones. Look at those stones, those big slab stones there at that spring. What do you think that was one time before the destruction of the flood and everything that came upon the earth? That wiped out the vengeance that was corrupting mankind. Because if it hadn't have come, then no life would have remained. So think about God's mercy there before you think that God's judgment is unjust or undeserved. He did that to save you. If not, you'd have been eaten long ago. The giants, trust me. You think Bigfoot's an E.T. You think Bigfoot's supernatural. You think Bigfoot is a Nephilim hybrid demon. You wait until you see a demon. You wait until you see a Dremelech, the prince of the devil's wardrobe manager here running around. And when he starts throwing limbs at you, and when he starts manifesting ectoplasm all over you, when he starts mind speaking to you, what are you going to do with that little thing? And you're like, I'll show you what I'm going to do. Get him, Jesus. Get him, God. You invoke the name of Christ. That's what you do when you have an encounter such as that. Bigfoot, it's probably the least of your fears, man. A bear would probably be more dangerous. Even Scott would mention that, Bigfoot, you can pretty much talk to them, tell them to back off and invoke the name of Jesus. But a bear, it's just going to eat your lunch, man. Scott was pretty wise. I miss my buddy, Scott Carpenter. He did a lot to help a lot of people out. A lot of people out there that owe their thanks and gratitude to what he did. And I'm sure he suffered for it. I'm sure he was ridiculed. I'm sure his own family questioned what he was doing in the woods every weekend, like anybody would question. I think it was pretty smart of him to invite his family to come along on some of those hikes and journeys and experiences. I think he took his brother-in-law one time up there, and they saw that white one, the one they call the white thing, running around. Trust me, there's a big Bigfoot that's white called the white thing. If you don't know, now you know. And he's running around. I've had sightings of a couple of white ones, not as many as the black ones, and a few brown ones and one red one. But I've had sightings of them. They're here. I wonder if they're not linked with the moon-eyed people and the albino Welsh that came here in 1170 AD. It wouldn't surprise me. Cherokee fought against them, wiped out those moon-eyed people. The Adena culture giants, the Welsh, the brass breastplate found on an island in Tennessee, Howdy Island, that matches an identical brass breastplate found 15 miles north of Louisville, Kentucky, up there above where that airplane for UPS crashed at. If you've been keeping up with the news lately. Yeah, you can't make that stuff up, can you? Nope. An identical brass breastplate with the Welsh coat of arms. One in Tennessee on Howdy Island, one up there on, can't remember if it's called Stone Island or what the island's called there in Louisville, north of Louisville, but it's probably connected with that Adena culture and the mound builders, the Hopewell culture, these megalithic builders, megalithic construction. Think of all those pyramids still covered over in the jungles down in South America. You reckon they just cut, quarried, and hauled all those stone blocks and set them in place so tightly precise that you can't slide a credit card or a slice of paper between them? Yeah. I think that was humans doing that with chiseled stones, hammers, stone hammers. Yeah. I think a lot of this knowledge and technology that's increasing by leaps and bounds, we're finding out more about our own past as well. Not just looking towards the future, but we're discovering ancient technology to the point that vanity, everything under the sun is vanity. It's just rediscovering of what's already been discovered, what's already been known. Even atomic power. I mean, you don't think them scientists that were working on it were trying to develop it because they knew it had already been done before, do you? That they just had to figure out how to do it themselves. You don't think that man ever reached the point in which the devastation and the destruction of previous age was brought about a great reset, do you? Like what we're just 1 or 2 degrees away from 1800s technology. Basically, you shut down the power grid or a nuclear winter. I mean, think about this. The Bible says that men's hearts shall fail them because of the fear of the expectations of things coming on the earth. L.A. Marzulli thinks that those things coming upon the earth are the things that are not on the earth already, that they're coming upon the earth from outer space, that it's ETs, and this big delusion that ETs are the progenitors of man, this strong delusion that God's going to send. People are going to be deceived by it. They're going to believe in a lie. I've been telling people this for years. I mean, L.A.'s right when he's right. I mean, certainly, he may not know everything about Scott Carpenter and what Scott experienced. And then again, he may know a lot more than I know. I just know from what Scott told me. He told me he felt like the Bigfoot were punishing him because he brought somebody up there that they did not like. When he said it, he looked right at me. So I thought he was talking about me, that he brought me up there and he was being punished. He experienced 140 volts of electricity, and later he said 40. Later he couldn't remember which side of the trail it was on, whether he was going up or coming down, if it's on the left or on the right, that David Pilates had his Bigfoot sighting up there at. But I already knew what side of the trail it was. I was just seeing if he was able to tell me again. And I should have recognized the signs that he was having difficulties, the slurred speech, the varicose veins in his legs. I mean, that's just the fact that he'd been sick the year previous. All that strenuous hiking he got out and did in the Smokies with David, and this new project that they were working on together, a secret project, which he probably figured I knew who it was he was talking about, and I had no clue. Like I said, I thought he was talking about me. All I did is run my big mouth up there on the whole hike of the whole time up there talking about dogmen and everything else. But I did notice something. When Scott was there, he took his backpack off and he went to a certain tree and he set it there in a particular spot. He made a beeline straight for this tree. The same tree that I had put my backpack at the year previous. Same spot, same place, same tree, same spot on the trail. Previous year I was with him. And I'd had sighting then, an orb sighting, blue and white orb, and a Bigfoot sighting. Its face was blacker than black, like a funeral veil covering his face. You couldn't see any facial details, no eyes, nose, mouth. Couldn't make out any distinguishing features. Try that for facial recognition software, you know. Go figure. AI, you know, ain't the smartest thing ever that man's created and invented. It's going to take over and destroy mankind if they don't watch what they do and all their excellent wisdom they think. But Scott, he took his backpack, put it down in the same place Les Stroud put his backpack down when Les got mind speak in the Smokies. Now, this is probably an area where they've done this radiation testing from Oak Ridge. And it wouldn't surprise me that there's other things there too, other entities besides Bigfoot. And Scott knew this. Scott had captured images. He had trail cam photos of mountain lions, which the park ranger said, oh, those are just, you know, Carolina panthers. They're just passing through. They're just, you know, transient panthers. They're not from Tennessee. They're not mountain lions. Tennessee doesn't have no mountain lions. Yeah, no leopards either, or black panthers, you know. I've seen 3 black panthers. I've seen more Bigfoot than big cats, but I've seen mountain lions. I've seen leopards. And so, I only seen 1 bobcat, but I have seen one. And that was here in the city, basically almost where I've seen Bigfoot at. So go figure, all this wildlife, red wolves, endangered red wolves, like who makes up stuff like that? Got pictures to prove it. And I'm not the only one now that's seeing them. So there you go, folks. I mean, you know, the proof's in the pudding, as I used to say. Yeah, one day it'll all be found out. When they read them names from the Book of Life, you'll know. You'll know old Dave wasn't telling no tale or pulling no one's leg or can't buy that for $1. You hear me? Yes, sir. People will find out. They'll have an awakening one day. They'll have a true enlightened moment. And the wicked, they won't see it. Like Perry Stone says, the righteous will see that which is invisible. All the matriarchs, Jacob wrestled with an angel. They saw invisible bodied beings and things that exist out here in this world. So go figure that one out. All you wicked that think you know it all. You ain't going to see anything until it's too late. And even then, you probably won't see the Son of Man in his glory up in the sky, up in the clouds. So think about that one too when you're being dragged off to a fiery hell. You don't have to have me tell you that. Your body testifies to that already. You're already judged. So I'll get off my old long soapbox here before my phone dies and let y'all go, and hope y'all have a glorious, blessed day and a good evening. And I just wanted to set the story straight. Talk about my friend, my buddy, putting his backpack down in the same place I put mine in. And then Scott told me that Les Stroud put his backpack in that same spot when he got mine speak. Can't make that up. Scott, just 2 weeks before he died, purposely went and put his backpack there. Some kind of a connection. Something was going on. The Bigfoot coming by, shaking his house, slapping the side of it, siding off of it. He thought he'd lost his protection, thought he'd lost the anointing. Asked L.A. Marzulli to pray for him. They prayed together. Him and David talking there at Scott's house in a rock lens on the carport David talked about in a recent interview with L.A. Marzulli. Big enough stone, it'd be difficult for someone just to throw up there on the roof, you know. But pretty good size from the sounds of it. I'm sure it made a heck of a ruckus, you know. But yeah, Scott started to change his views on the Bigfoot there. He came out publicly and said that he no longer believes that all Bigfoot are bad, even though one of the options on their menu to deal with you is still to kill you. One of their list of options on the menu list, you're still, you know, they have that ability, you know. And when God does deliver someone's soul up to the hand of the devil for its destruction, if these things are truly demonic, who do you think's going to be carrying that executive order out? You know? You ain't going to worry about Delta Force kicking your door in. You're going to have the Almighty, angel of the Lord, come down on you. And if he's got a big hairy arm, you might as well just wake up on the other side. Because that's where it's going to end up at. These things, you know, growing up, wake up in the early morning, splash water on your face, the coldest you can get, make sure you're wide awake because you just seen something standing over you, cloaked, all digital and pixelated, and walk outside and talking to the neighbor while he's walking his Siamese cat on a leash. and you see this thing run around you, and you happen to notice that that neighbor never saw a thing. That neighbor that planned to do you evil. Evil beyond what you could imagine, had it in for you. Yeah, well, I did separate his testicles and parted his seam like the Red Sea with my foot, like you kick a football through the field goal. I field goaled him. I parted his seam and felt his testicles smash like marshmallows on top of my foot. That was because he come over and jumped a friend of mine, and I was just trying to break them up. He swung at me, and he's dead now. Dead as dead can be, and his girlfriend too. Found them both dead. Drugs, more than likely overdose, but probably murdered, because he did drugs. He liked drugs. He used drugs, but I don't think he was stupid about doing the kind of drugs that's going to kill you. Not when $200 from his wallet's missing and his cell phone's taken. Yeah, I think he was murdered purposely. Funny how you reap what you sow. You go around terrorizing people. You pepper spray a newspaper so that when it's opened up, it fumigates the whole house. When your 73-year-old World War II veteran stepdad's on his deathbed, can't breathe because he's got blood acidosis and got 2 weeks left to live, and you do something like that, real neighborly like, isn't it? So yeah, he reaped what he sowed. God's vengeance is sweet, and it's swift, and it's just, and you wait long enough and you'll have a birthday gift too come to you. I promise you. It'll come on your birthday, just like it did me. Happy birthday. Happy birthday from the birthday party in the park. It's funny how so much is in cycles, you know, growing up right over there in the circle. Can't make that up. See you guys. God bless you. See you on the other side.